Okay. Wait, why is it on this screen? It's supposed to be on the other one. What the hell? Okay, I guess we're going over here then. I don't know why it jumps around like that. That is so weird. It's always getting loose. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. It has been quite a good while. By the way, happy 4th of July to everybody. Pretty sure, and I hope everybody had a pretty good 4th of July, regardless of loud noises of fireworks and gunshots and people houses burning and catching on fire. I hope everyone had a pretty good time. Hmm. Yeah, it kind of sucks for me because I'm supposed to not have red meat, but I end up having steak. So, well, I do understand that's actually bad for my kidneys, especially my chronic kidney disease. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I should be able to do the right thing, but I've been a good boy for a couple of good weeks. So it wouldn't hurt to spoil myself just a little bit, just a little. It's nice to be a little goody two shoes, be concerned with your health and make sure you're actually eating right and everything. My blood sugars are actually been pretty good, but I'm guessing with the amount of years that I kind of like let that shit fall to the wayside and now caught up. So it's like, yeah, that's gonna be a big problem. Now I have to end up like getting surgery for access on my arm. I can actually start doing dialysis. So that's gonna be fun. That is definitely going to be fun. Hmm. I went to the store today because I also got a wedding this Sunday. My sister getting married. About fucking time after having like 3 fucking kids. Um, but yeah, she's getting married this Sunday, so I'll definitely be doing that. I got me a new dress shirt. Oh, it's in the other room. Got me a new dress shirt. She wants to wear a fucking tuxedo. I'm not wearing no goddamn tux. I'm gonna be a nice dress shirt with a black tie. I'm probably gonna wear one of my dad's ties and black pants and call it a goddamn day. All right, because it's gonna be what 90 something degrees. I think the last time I looked at the weather chart, it was like 95 on Sunday. I said, "Oh fuck that shit, got me fucked up." I show up in a damn tux. So yeah, so that's gonna be something we're gonna be doing Sunday. I have original DVD copy of Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge, and I have watched the version of Cooler's Revenge that has all the licensed metal. But hell yeah, isn't that the one where it has what's that one song from Disturbed? I forgot the song. I know it's not Down with the Sickness. I know it has a I think that's the one that actually has a Disturbed song. I forgot the name of it. But yeah, that's actually a good one. I know the one with Broly. That one also has a Disturbed soundtrack in it too. That's how I actually got introduced to Disturbed. It was through the Dragon Ball Z movies. With like Cooler's Revenge and like fuck no, not Cooler's Revenge. It wasn't Cooler's Revenge. It was when Cooler was introduced and when Broly was introduced, the Broly movie. That's how I got introduced to Disturbed. And didn't fucking that wasn't a disappointment. Not at all. Not at fucking all. And that one song from Broly when he fucking transforms. My skin is old. I gotta look that one up. Oh my god! Every time that fucking song plays, my fucking ooh goosebumps, man. The game from the start. Yeah, I think that was the game. Man, I haven't listened to them in a long time. I got most of their CDs. Hold on, let me see. I think I got them up here. Bragging. Oh yeah, here they are. I know I have indestructible. Oh man, that's my Death Clock CD. The album. Oh, that's my mix. Oh no, I got my Rush CD. I gotta have that. I have that one, and then I have another Rush. Yep, this is yep, Rush remastered. Let's see. Yeah, I even got the new album. I don't like the new stuff that the lead singer's doing. Like I don't know, the shit's kind of like falling off. Like like this one, Device. I don't know if you actually heard of this one. I listened to this one. I don't like his new stuff. Yeah, I really don't like his new stuff. Like, I gave that a listen. I'm like, what the hell is this trash? So I got the Disturb Asylum, the Asylum album, and then I have obviously Indestructible album. That's the one that hits hard. Like the best one that I like on this one is like Enough. That's my favorite one. Enough and I want to say either Criminal and The Night. I like those three out of this album. And then I have the Immortalized album. Love this shit. Yeah. Stirred was the shit, bro. Back when I was in fucking high school. Look at I got the Believe album. That's the one with like prayer. Prayer was the one that I let's just say I wasn't privy on the lyrics and I ended up like I was in a Bible club when I was in high school. And I ended up singing so I wanted part of the verse that actually did sound very like Christian like. And they really did like it. They really did like it. But I was like, yeah, Disturbed is a Christian rock band. Because it has prayer in the title name. Hey, look, I was a teenager. I was dumb and stupid. All right. Yeah, prayer. Awaken. I really like that. I like that one. Intoxication. That was a really good one. That was a really good one. I like Intoxication. Mistress. Love that one. Oh man, I gotta re-listen to that one. And then I got this one. Let's see. What's this one? The oh, it's the 10th anniversary edition with the holographic cover with the smiley face. It probably won't show up on the camera. But like when you move it, it actually shows like a guy with like the mouth cover. It actually has a smile. Yeah, it's not gonna show up on the camera. Yeah, that's weak sauce. Oh wait, there it is. Yeah, there you go. Is that and then when you move it to the side, it actually shows like a double smile, like a devilish smile. I like this one. What song was on this one? Oh, this is the one that had the rendition of the sounds of voices. Oh, I love that one. Yeah, he really sung that one really good. This one had the game, Stupefy, Down with the Sickness, Violence Fetish, Fear. What was that Numb? It was Numb. Want, Conflict, Shout, Dropping Plate. Oh, Dropping Plates. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot that one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Dropping Plates. Fucking Meaning of Life, God of the Mind, and a Welcome Burden. Oh man, I need to actually sit down and listen to these songs. You brought up some really good. You made me go through my old CD collection right there. You made me go through my old CD. Then I got Death Clock first CD. I think I could have sworn I had the second one. I don't think I do. Then I got like two CDs from like Rush. They're basically like the collections of Time Standstill and the Rush remasters of what is it, Signals? Yeah, Signals. Where it has subdivisions, the analog kid, chemistry, digital man, the weapon, New World Man, losing it, and countdown. I thought Christians would hate Disturbed. I don't think they do hate. Not all. I mean, clearly the ones that have like the fucking mindset of like a Muslim extremist that believes like songs like that are from the devil. Yeah, they'll actually think that's like fucking evil, and they won't like that kind of stuff. But like most Christians, they actually like listen to the fucking shit. Excuse me, and actually make a more informed opinion. Coming from the horse's mouth, mind you. Like they don't hate that kind of stuff. They like it, you know. Which is why I always like listen to people, and I always advocate like listen to people that actually like read the fucking source, you know, not people that's like fear mongering about oh, this book needs to be banned because it teaches people to be SJWs or some shit like that. And then when you read the book, it's like um the book that you're so afraid of, um they don't even they mention the book, but they don't read the book. Not even teaching them to be SJWs. It's actually teaching them to stand up for what they honestly believe is right. And what is right is being able to have the freedom to read what is so controversial so you can actually form your own opinion. Right? Meanwhile, you actually do have people like Moms for Liberty and stuff saying that, a book like that needs to be banned because it teaches children to be SJW warriors and it has sexual explicit content. And I'm like, there's nothing sexual in this book. Like, not a damn thing. Like, at the very best, it brings up one book that is like the title of the book that is like LGBTQ based, but the character doesn't even like read the book. Like, the character notices that it's on the book, it's on the list of banned books, and she goes, "Oh my god, that's the sex book. Gee Rillikers, I wonder what's actually in that one. Well, if I actually had that, I know my parents would actually like whoop my ass for actually having some stuff like that." And that's pretty much all you see. Like, at all. Like, that's literally all you hear. Like, no explicit content, no none of that. Like, none of the characters are saying like, "Man, you know what? As a fourth grader, I'm in the mood for sucking." You know, like none of them are even saying that. And then at the very best, right? Like, say for instance, you can trick a lot of conservatives that don't actually read that book by actually taking certain excerpts from like some of the characters. Like, one of the characters, right, is reading this ghost story. Has nothing to do with the devil, by the way, because all the books that they're referencing are like in real life books. And he makes this quip about hey, after reading this story, Satan doesn't sound like a pretty bad guy, And it's like, it's clearly a joke, right? But I know if I really want to get like right wingers riled up, all I have to do is just snip that out of context and just show them that. And they'll be on my side. So it's like the one thing you always want to be aware of is, in order for you to learn how to like falsify your information, is understand the group that you're siding with and ultimately understand how easy it is to trick them into thinking that what they're doing is the right thing when in actuality they're doing the wrong thing. You know? I just stupid by Stereo was in the Lower Slug movie. Yep. It sucks that Funimation stopped licensing songs from record companies to use in Dragon Ball. Yeah, yeah, that's the real sucky part. That's what like old school fucking anime, like back in the fucking 90s, like Nami, and that was airing. Like, man, kids don't know what the fuck they are missing, man. But the shit that's coming out today, where it's just tainted by a bunch of freaking Marxists, where they implement their own worldview through the translations and shit. Like, man, they have no idea what the hell they're missing. But let's go ahead and get into the discussion for today about lolly. Right? I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what lolly is to a degree. But the actual definition of lolly is basically the body type of a petite woman, right? So you have people like Rebecca from Edge Runners, right? 18-year-old girl with massive hands that look like they're the size of like fucking towers. Like those hands are specifically designed to crank black cock. Like I'm being serious here. she's she's got a very tiny body, but at the exact same time, like those hands are like designed to be like. Uh, uh. I'm like Jesus Christ. But you know, Rebecca, she's a ride and die kind of girl. You know, like I would definitely like a girl like that in real life, where it's like she's very supportive. She ultimately understands that the course of action that I'm going to is more than likely like destroying myself, but it's something that needs to be done because you know you're saving the life of an individual from an evil corporation. You know what I mean? And but right before she fucking got clapped by fucking Atom Smasher, like she just takes her fucking gun and just says, "Yo, bro, like fuck off. We're having a moment," and then dude just comes crashing down on her, killed her right there on the spot. Yeah, you know Rebecca from Cyberpunk. Yeah, yeah, the Cyberpunk anime Age Runners. That's a really good show. I actually recommend people to watch that. But yeah, that's actually the definition of lolly. It's just the body type of a petite woman, right? But it also ranges in like other things, right? So like characters that look like they look like have like the body of a prepubescent, when in actuality they're like 6,000 like years old or 60 years old, or they have the mind of an adult, right? They've lived for like thousands of eons. They've seen wars, right? They've seen blood spill. They've seen empires rise. They've seen them fall. Like that's not a kid. That's not a kid. It's kind of like, and I think there's also an in real life disease where a person like they're stuck looking like that. I don't know. Let me see. Real life disease. I forgot the name of it. Looking too young. Oh, excuse me. Originated disorder that causes children to age rapidly, resulting in premature aging. No, that's not it. I forgot the name of it. I have to look it up another time. But basically, Lolly is petite woman, like a very petite woman. Like another example would be like the model that they use for Stellar Blade, right? Like the model for Stellar Blade. Let me pull her up. She's a very thin and petite woman, but for some reason, you do have a lot of people that would look at her in real life and say that she looks like a child. Stellar Blade. Like I honestly do believe like these people are like brainwashed. to the point to where they would inadvertently end up defending like actual pedophilia. I don't think they are pedophiles. I just think they're just so mentally brainwashed and warped into the idea of thinking that they're doing the right thing. But in actuality, they're not doing the right thing. Yeah, this is her. I'm gonna show this one. Yeah, this is her. The model for Stella Blade. Oh, let me there we go. Yeah. Model for Stella Blade. They would look at this woman right here and say, yeah, she looks like a kid. And I'm like, she's 30 years old, but she looks like a kid. Right? Like they stay with this argument of the look like argument. It's like, you know who else uses the look like argument? Schizophrenics. Idiots who don't know what the hell they're talking about. And fucking Nazis who were clearly schizophrenics. You know, when they were spreading like the World War II Nazi propaganda about how the Jews were taking over the world and they were basically poisoning the blood of their nation and stealing the youth of the blonde haired, blue eyed child. You know, that, that, that what screams to me when I hear a person that looks at a grown ass woman and says that looks like a child. This thing right here, that looks like a child. Okay, if you think that looks like a child, if I showed you World War II Nazi propaganda, would you say that looks like a Jew? I'm just wondering. You know, you probably won't say it because there's actual repercussions for actually saying some shit like that because you don't want to be related to like people like Nick Fuentes, who honestly believes that. The literal white nationalist, the literal neo-Nazi, the literal Hitler sympathizer, apologist, who would look at Nazi World War II propaganda and say, yeah, that definitely looks like a Jew. Definitely. Yeah, that is clearly a Jew. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, like the whole look like argument is the most retarded thing ever. Because does an orange that looks like an orange is an orange? No. The surprise is a fucking tangerine. Why? Because it's small as opposed to being big. Right? Well, let me hand you another example. Does this look like an orange? It's big like an orange, right? So it has to be an orange, right? Well, if you cut it and the insides look a little more dark red, like blood dark red, well, that's not an orange. It's grapefruit, right? Because the whole look like argument hinges on the idea that you only take very small surface examples. You don't really go too in depth, right? It's kind of like if you look at Rebecca from Edge Runners, right? Let me find a safe picture. Yeah, we use this as an example. Here we go. Like if I showed you this, right? And I go, if she looks like a child, as you see how small she is, and she acts like a child, right? Then wouldn't that mean she is a child? I mean, if you go off of those two examples, right? You would be correct. However, we're not about using surface evidence as a means to prove our argument. We're all about going in balls deep in order for us to prove what we are looking at is indefinitely a child. Rebecca is literally 18. And then not only that, most of her body is cybernetically enhanced. So this is by her design. If you, if I wouldn't say design, yeah, it's by her choice of why the way she wants to look exactly like this. Especially if you're talking about like a cybernetic dystopia, where you live in a city that is mostly ran and owned by mega corporations that dictate your life and usually have all their citizens hooked on cybernetic enhancements, right? So then the problem is when you do this whole it looks like, act like, sound like argument, right? You're completely throwing away the entire narrative of cyberpunk edge runners, which is basically a dystopian nightmare of mega corporations running your entire life, your city, even your look and your design. Like you don't even own your identity. The company owns that. Right? And you're throwing all that away because a few screenshots of the show has this character on the screen and you're going, "Oh my god, that looks like a kid. Why is she dressed like that? Oh my god, this is sexualized content. She's not wearing any pants. Oh my god, you are sexualizing a minor." I mean, granted, she's not really a kid. Excuse me. I mean, she looks like a kid. She acts like one. Therefore, she is. I mean, she's 18, by the way. And the funny part is, this is how you can tell the people who look at Rebecca and say that's a kid are completely disingenuous. Where they end up inadvertently defending. Oh, excuse me. Saliva went the wrong way. When that happens. What's that one character's name that David ended up having a crush on? Edge Runner characters. What was her name? Viola? What was that girl's name? It was David's love interest. Characters. Lucy. That was her name. Lucy. Now let me show you a picture of her. I think she was like, what, 21? I think. Yeah, she's like 21 or something like that. Right? 21-year old 21-year old person that is part of like a gang, right? Hitting on what is essentially a minor because David was 17 at the time. And Rebecca knew that. And here's the funny thing about the story, right? Rebecca knew David was underage. And she kind of held off. She's like, "Oh, like you're still a minor. Okay, I'll you're still a kid. I'll wait, This bitch, this bitch gave no shits and a solid fuck. Like the second she saw David, it was just flirt, 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 flirt. Like this is the type of dynamic when it's this whole pedophilic discussion, right? When people think pedophile, they just think straight white male and small little girl. But they never think straight white woman targeting small little boy. Right? Right? Because then when it's the latter relationship, all of a sudden it's, "Oh man, where were you when I was 14 or 15? Oh man, where were you? Man, if all man, all why do boys like that get all the luck, of a grown ass woman hitting on a bunch of fucking teenage boys going through puberty? Man, where were you when I was growing up, right? Oh man, it's not fair. And then the fucked up part is when the victim, who is a small teenage boy, right, openly says and state that they do feel sexually violated, right? They can't openly say that because the male dichotomy, like the male social space, in terms of negative masculinity traits. I'm not talking about like males in general, but you also have to take in factor of like male positivity and negative male positivity and negative masculine traits. So positive masculine traits and negative masculine traits. Because everyone always wants to talk about negative masculinity or toxic masculinity. But if there's also a negative masculine trait, there also has to be a positive masculine trait. The problem is a lot of people like to focus on the negative traits so often and make it sound like there's no such thing as positive masculine traits. There are such things as positive masculine traits. Teaching young boys how to be men, teaching them how to control their anger, teaching them how to approach certain situations, teaching them the laws of the land, the do's and don'ts of what men are supposed to do. These are positive masculine traits. Negative masculine traits are kind of like nigga culture. A perfect example would be like Charlemagne the God. I don't know if you guys actually realize this, but he sexually assaulted a minor. And this isn't hyperbolic. Like he himself in a interview said it himself. Gave her a Spanish fly, got her drunk. She didn't know where the hell she was, and he took advantage of her. And keep in mind, and the thing that he tries to use to legitimize the fact that he took advantage of a girl that didn't know what the hell was going on was because some other dudes walked in and they were trying to join in on the sexcapades. But Charlemagne said, nah, we ain't gonna be like that. It's just between me and her, y'all get out. And he used that as a justification, right? It's like if it wasn't, and he even said it to her, like if it wasn't for me, right, me telling them to get the hell out of the room, God knows what would have actually happened. And I'm like, no, you still raped the minor. Because she had, even if she even knew what the hell she was, I think she was like 16 or something at the time. I wouldn't call that pedophilia. I call it like hepophilia. Because I want to use the appropriate term. So he's not really a pedophile, he's just a hepophile. But either way, he's supporting negative masculine traits. Because in an environment like that, right, instead of most men walking into the scenario and going, oh man, let me get a piece of that action. When's my turn? One of them, if they were in a positive masculine space, should have said, what the hell are you doing? Why is she like that? And why are you guys in this room by yourselves? How old is she? Why is she here? Right? And if you did anything to her, even if you were planning to do something, you didn't do it yet. And if you're planning to do something to her and you did something to her in any way, shape, or form, whether drugging her or doing something to her to put her in the position to be sexually assaulted, I'm going to beat your ass. That's positive masculine traits, positive masculine force. The problem is with all these leftists, they have cultivated a culture of suppressing positive masculine traits as oppression, while at the exact same time celebrating and championing negative masculine traits that allows these type of things to actually perpetuate over time as a culture. And this is why you actually need more masculine positive traits over negative negative masculine traits to ensure that most men are not doing this, where it's no such thing as safe space in order for you to be secluded with a minor, planning to have sex with said minor. Because when you have more positive masculine traits within the atmosphere, the odds of that happening is 0 to none, right? And that's why you need positive masculine traits instead of like celebrating all this negative stuff. Now, going back to definitions, there's also a group of people that would like to feed. They would like to contort the definition of lolly, where it clearly shows they didn't do any investigation in the slightest. So they basically come up with their own definition, and you can tell in most cases, like people come up with their own definitions, or they're highly uneducated on the subject when they're adding unnecessary adjectives to the noun that doesn't make any sense, like anime CP or hentai lolly. Like you can tell like the person has no understanding of what the hell they're talking about, because when you say hentai lolly, you sound retarded. You're saying sexualized, non-sexual. You're saying sexualized petite women, right? But they're going off of the definition. They're going off of a definition that lolly is explicitly underage character or underage fictional character, right? And then when you hear the label anime CP, it's a very vague, very broad. It doesn't necessarily make any sense, because when you're looking at it, you're essentially saying anything of Japanese animation is CP. Trigun, CP. Outlaw Star, CP. Pokemon, CP. Yu Yu Hakusho, CP. Like any anime that you can list, if it has some type of political ideology that doesn't align with your political viewpoints or your political worldview, you can classify it as sexualized content, which falls under the bracket of CP. When an actual person who actually studies, not even just study, actually knows the terminology and definitions. Sorry if you hear the fireworks outside. Anime is just Japanese animation. Hentai is sexualized, heavily sexualized, explicit sexual content of fictional characters. Lolly is the body type of a petite woman. The definitions are very defined. Excuse me. There's no adjectives to the noun. And that's why I'm going to talk about this one individual who is a former fan of Vosh. So if you know anything about Vosh, you know exactly what the fuck we're talking about here. I thought all the characters in anime was mostly played up for laughs. Yeah, in most cases, yeah. Like there's there's Lolly Requiem, which is basically like a song where it's like a literal lolly character like dancing around and shit. And a lot of it has like over what 200 million fucking views. And the funny thing is like people who are against lolly, they like that video. But then it formed this weird amalgamation of the anti-lolis and the pro-lolis liking the video, with the anti-lolis being conflicted, like, wait a minute, why are you guys here? This is making fun of you. I mean, granted, the video is actually, you know, celebrating lolly and its community and the work that it does, and that the person who made the song wasn't really making fun of lolly. but you shouldn't be here watching it. It's making fun of what you guys are doing, and it's like, no, it is actually pro lolly, and it's just a dancing character. Like, there's nothing sexually explicit. It's just a dancing character, like what I'm showing at the bottom right here, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the discussion of lolly. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys are very familiar with My Hero Academia. If you took the female characters from My Hero Academia and you had them in their school uniforms, like the really short orange skirt, and they were doing this dance that I'm showing right here at the bottom, they would classify that as lolly. Like, no shit. But here's the hypocrisy. If it's male characters, and let's just imagine Todoroki and Deku didn't have any shirt on, and they just had like Speedos doing the exact same dance, they wouldn't care. You know what I mean? Because my position on pedophilia is, regardless of the fact of the victim's gender, it is still pedophilia. So that would imply that most people who have that double standard, they are more than likely that type of person that when a male victim is sexually assaulted by a female, they're actually celebrating the fact that the boy was actually sexually assaulted. Because there's nothing great about that. Because the female predator can, in fact, get pregnant and then hold your child responsible for the pregnancy. And now your child has to worry about child support at such a young age. Like, there's never a plus about that. Even if it's something you get what you want, like even if it's head, she can still take the sperm and inseminate herself. You know? And your child will be paying child support at such a young age. To the point to where the system, which is clearly anti-male, by the way, is going to clamp down on your son by the time he's 18. The only way a lolly should be CP is when it is art of a real child, is traced off of a real child, or the art is realistic. Yes. Such as the Shadman incident, which I would like to classify that as Shadmanning trademark, where the Rule 34 community explicitly and collectively said that man did cross the line when he drew explicit sexual content of Keemstar's daughter. Like, this is something that was known throughout the Rule 34 community. They're like, yeah, you crossed the line with that, buddy. Like, it was already bad enough that he was already like testing the limits when it came to like drawing hentai, because he did a lot of freaky shit. I don't like what he did with Sonic. Because he also did like incest kind of stuff, but it was like purely like fucking fictional. But that does not imply that the person who actually consumes that kind of content is actually into incest. You know what I mean? It's the same 90s Republican argument that people or children who are invested in playing video games that depicts violence is willing to use that same violence on people in real life. No. That's not the case. Like, if I'm watching Dragon Ball, right? Like old school Dragon Ball. Not Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball. And I'm watching the episodes where Goku's going around patting teenage girls or like Bulma or little girls in their crotch, right? Does that mean I'm going to do the exact same thing? I mean, if I was a country redneck ass motherfucker with no goddamn education, yeah, I would. Why? Because I literally have no fucking education. Because that was the reason why Goku was doing that in the first fucking place. He's a country boy. He has no education. The only education he has is how to punch and kick good. because his grandpa Gohan was a former martial art master. That's the only education he had. So, of course, a little boy who grew up in the mountains with a martial arts master is going to be so curious to the point to where he's willing to violate the privacy of a person's personal space in order for him to understand exactly what the hell he's doing or who he's talking to. Like, that was his method of determining if you were a boy or a girl. Like, he couldn't tell by face value if he was a boy or a girl. Like, that was his method of going around determining if you was a boy or a girl. He would just, okay, you're a boy, you got jewels, boy. There's nothing there, girl, boy. And it got to the point to where I think Bulma was the one that explicitly told him, stop doing that shit. Just talk to the person. And then that's how he snapped out of that whole, that gag. And it was explicitly a gag. Like, Dragon Ball wasn't teaching its viewers, hey, go around and smack little girls in the fucking vagina. Give it a nice pat. It was a gag. But I think people like this person here would look at small clips of Dragon Ball and go, that's smut. That is degeneracy. It is teaching people. This is literally CP. It is teaching people to go around patting little girls in their private genital areas. It's like, no. Did you watch it? Like, did you watch the episode that is only like 20 fucking minutes to actually understand why he does that? Or are you watching like a few snippets of a seconds, like 10 seconds or 20 seconds of him doing these things from some influencer that's taking things out of context to sell some type of narrative? I think that's the thing a lot of people really need to ask themselves this question. So before I actually go into the discussion of this video, I want everybody to ask yourself this question, especially when it's in terms of like in real life predators being caught, such as like daughther disrespect. I want you to ask yourself this question. When an institution of any kind is lambasting the individual who was part of said institution for doing such heinous acts, is it because that individual was heinous? Or was it because that group of heinous people have to beat up on the weaker heinous person for the greater good in order for them to preserve the majority of the creeps within that institution? Because while a lot of people, because like the whole thing with like daughther disrespect, where you do have Twitch employees who knew for a fact that he was sexting a minor, their excuse was, well, we was under an NDA, so we couldn't really come out with it. I don't fucking buy that. For two reasons. One, I do believe NDAs does not mean you cannot report on a crime. And then second, even if that was the case, you are essentially saying your money was more important than the sanctity of that child. And then three, Twitch is still a platform that is advertised to people 13 and above. So you still have to ask yourself this question. Is it because of the creep managed to invade into the institution? Or is it because the majority of creeps within said institution, that is Twitch, had to just beat up on the creep that was weak? And in order for them to save face, they beat up on the creep that was weak in order for them to save the majority of creeps still in the institution for the greater good. And I think that's the one thing a lot of people really do need to ask themselves that question. It is funny how people blame Shadman's art for why he got arrested when he really got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah, he got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. They didn't even like lock him up for that. Like, that shit he drew. Like it's more like the whole discussion is just based on like a moral decision, and I'm not even entirely sure they even brought that up in like court, and they probably threw that out because like it's just fictional character. And then on top of that, I think Keemstar said like later on after he had that discussion with the Shadman in an interview, he actually liked it because it wasn't like heavily explicit. Like it was just her in a suit, a business respectable suit, right, in front of a microphone, looking at it in a weird way, looking at it in a very suggestive way. There was one where it was normal, like typical person standing in front of a microphone, kind of like this. And then there's the one where, she's looking at the microphone like she's in fucking heat. And he's like, I actually like the first one, that doesn't make her look like a fucking dog. Also, I thought I remembered hearing about Shadman getting arrested for having black tar heroin. Really? I didn't hear anything about that. I have to look into that. Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. Like the whole Shadman thing just kind of blew over. Like after the whole Keemstar thing, everybody just kind of threw in fucking trash. Like they don't really follow him like that anymore. But let's go ahead and get into the discussion. Former Vosh fan here, Mr. Old Man Londre. He is a firm supporter of Ukraine on his Twitter account. He has this Ukraine flag. He wants you to know that his politics are on the right side of history. So clearly, this individual, right? He has done all the research. He has looked at all the facts. And he is able to discern fiction from reality to the nth degree. The problem is he can't. And there's this video where he talks about a certain video Vosh came up with, where it's talking over the list of anime that Vosh found problematic of being sexualized content of loli. And there's like, I think he said 240 something titles. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of information there. So before we actually get into this one, we're actually going to go to the previous one, where it's some guy named Irish Laddie's anime list. And we're going to go through not all of them, just a good couple of ones that I probably know, and go determine whether or not if this is a legitimate list of lolly content. Right, I'm expecting to see the worst of the worst here. I'm expecting to see something along the lines of that one hentai where I forgot the name of that damn thing. It's the one with the dark elf. It's like the one with two dark elves, and like they ended up like it's this army that ends up taking over this nation, and after they end up taking over the nation, they end up like fucking raping the like dark elves and the women that they ended up conquering. And one of them is like I think it was like a lolly wolf or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I barely remember. I think she's like some type of animal lolly character. And I'm like, I don't like that one. But the two dark elves like slap those cheeks every day, I was like, God damn, like it's kind of upsetting. You got to go to Japanese to get some real black representation around here. You know what I'm saying? Like Japan got our black women looking good. I'm looking over here like, man, the black representation here is starting to look like a World War II Nazi propaganda. Like, yeah, this is definitely what black people look like. They look like especially the black women, they all look like Lori Lightfoot. Which don't get me wrong. Actually, hold on. Let me. I know I'm sidetracking, but let me actually pull this up. Like, do anybody know what Lori Lightfoot looked younger? Hold on. Let me show that. Like, this is her current. But then let me see if I can find like when she was younger. Like, it's really hard to find it because I found it and I was like, holy shit, she actually looked good back then. Because I hate it when black women do this to themselves right here. This short buzz haircut kind of thing where they kind of like force their hairline to like recede all the way to the back of their fucking head. I don't know why this is a thing. It is like the most nastiest thing I have ever fucking seen. Whoever taught this to our black women clearly hates black women. Um like I do not accept that as like a um a standard within the black community. Like that shit needs to stop. Young Lori like, oh man, I don't think I can find it. Oh, man, I don't know. I can't find it. I can't find it. Man, that thing is buried. But yeah, like she looked good as a young person. But like this, ooh, Marxism turns people into like the most ugliest fucking people, man. Also, I thought I remember hearing. Okay, I read that. Yeah, I remember hearing about that somewhere. That Shadman arrested because of black tar heroin. By research, you mean an out of context clip of Dragon Ball? Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's their research. Out of context, like fucking clips. So let's go over this video first before I actually get fucking distracted again.
Hello everyone, it's Old Man Londre. I need to
Also,
share a link with you
also let me know if you can actually hear it.
That I stumbled on recently. Here it is on your screen right now. I'm sharing it with you because as
Okay, I kind of want to expand it, but if I expand it, I don't think you're gonna be able to see it. Let's go back a bit.
Here it is on your screen right now.
Okay, so this is apparently the forbidden list. Oh, it actually has a link. Hold on, let's use the link. myanimelist.net anime list slash Irish Irish laddie. Excuse me. Okay, yeah, there we go. Irish. Is it still up? Oh, it's still up. Okay, good. This is a lot better than looking at that fucking video. Let's look at a couple of the ones from the beginning. A Perry Runman. I have no idea what that is. What's the synopsis? No dream is too big for Apare Serrano, a socially awkward inventor living in a small rural town in Japan in the 19th century, fascinated since childhood by the creation of steamships that can connect people across great distances. He learned to make great machines of all kinds from various scientific texts. His goal is to sail across the sea beyond the sky and ultimately to the other side of the moon. Unfortunately, through a string of events, Apare finds himself stranded in the middle of the sea on his mini steamship. Floating alongside him is a skilled but cowardly samurai, Asame Ishiki, who was tasked to keep his eccentric behavior in check. Uh, just when all hope seems lost, a large steamship saves them and takes them on to Los Angeles. With no money or plans, they decide to participate in the Trans America Wild Race, which gives Apare the chance to build his own automobile, and Kisame the opportunity to use the cash prize to return home. However, against rival racers and unknown challenges residing in the wilderness, just how far will this adventure with the Parhe and Kasame go? Uh, I don't know too much about. I'm gonna only look at the ones that I actually. How the fuck is Akira on this list? That's the one with the. How the fuck is Akira on this list for Lolly? The fuck? Attack on Titan? How's Attack on Titan Lolly? Wasn't mostly like so, I know one of the characters looked kind of young, but she is an adult. I forgot the girl's name. She's the girl that looks like the descendant of like the princess from like way back when. They ended up like she was a shifter and she ended up sacrificing herself for the her bitch of a fucking husband. Okay, yeah, Berserk is kind of that, but to be fair, that is like rated like M. Like you gotta be mature to actually watch that shit. But I wouldn't actually call that controversial. I'd only call it controversial if it was actually rated E for everyone. You know, Death Note, that's not problematic because you know they're probably looking at Mikasa and saying, "Oh, because she looks underage, therefore she is underage, therefore it is lolly." Fully Cooley, that is not a really good example because it's literally, if I remember correctly, it's a grown ass adult woman flirting with a teenage boy, but she doesn't even like him. She just flirts with him just to fuck with him. Like he likes her, but she doesn't like him. And the whole allegory is like teenage hormones and shit. So yeah, that's a horrible example. Somehow, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is lolly. I don't know who the fuck is looking at the scene with the little girl and the dog and going, "Oh yeah, I turned that into a fucking pretzel and fuck her." Like who the fuck is thinking about that? Like in most cases, I'm pretty sure every person who has seen Full Metal Alchemist and is familiar with that fucking scene. What was her name? Nina? I'm pretty sure most people who are actually familiar with that scene, they're more like, yeah, the wood chipper is just not enough, you know? The wood chipper is just not enough for an individual like that. I just saw. Did you post something? Because I just saw a notification, but it's not showing up on my chat feed. That's weird. Ghost in the Shell? How the fuck is that lolly? Gurren Lagann. How the fuck is that lolly? I forgot her age. I think she's actually an adult. Hunter x Hunter? That's not even. I can't even argue that's lolly. I mean, considering the fact that ugh, Gon and Kia are boys, and even though, despite the fact that you literally have Ahsoka, right? Like he's a literal fucking like creep. His whole angle is he's not a creep because he likes little boys. He's a creep because he likes strong people. And Killua and Gon are extremely strong people. Like that's the only reason why he likes them. Is because they're strong people that can actually threaten his life. Like that what turns him on. He likes his life being threatened. And he likes the thrill of a fight. So I can't even say that's lolly. JoJo Bizarre Adventures, you gotta be like one retarded ass motherfucker to think that's like lolly. Uh Kill a Kill, you can make the argument that that is sexualized content, especially considering the context of like schoolgirls are having like fights in like like skimpy ass clothing, like mini skirts and shit. But if I remember correctly, I think that's also like an allegory for like teenagers as well, like going through puberty. I forgot the whole miss. I gotta rewatch that because I don't think I actually seen the entirety of Kill la Kill. I really need to rewatch that, but I don't really see that one problematic. Let's see. Let's see. This is another one. Bob Psycho. How the fuck is that? I mean, obviously, everyone will gravitate to My Hero Academia. You know, there's that weird part of the fandom that like ships Deku with Ire, and I'm like, no, 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 for the love of God, no. Naruto. I can see people like trying to contort that as lolly. The whole Hinata and Ino, especially Ino. That was a fast ass girl. I'm sorry. That was a fast ass girl. That was the girl that you knew for a fact, like she was at the brothel getting lessons. Okay, I'm like, God damn, you fast as fuck, girl. Like, slow the fuck down. Like I can understand Sakura, right? But like, even Sakura had some modesty. Her Ino was like thirsty, like Sasuke. I was like, Jesus Christ, girl, like slow the fuck down. Evangelion, you could definitely argue that, like that, the fucking, like the fucking, what was that clip where he ends up like jacking off into like the girl's fucking hand or some shit, or like some clothes or something? I forgot what it was. One Punch Man. Oh, they always talk about the whole Tatsumaki. She looks like a child when she's actually like 21 fucking years old. The psychic powers. Space Dandy. That's a really good one. Man, I was expecting to read this list and be abhorred, but man, this so-called sexual explicit content is looking like a fucking advertisement, man. I'm just saying. Like most of the stuff I actually looked at. Spirited Away, there is nothing lolly about that. Like if you're watching Spirited Away and you're thinking like sexual content, something's wrong with you, all right? Like you do literally fall into the line of you're looking at World War II Nazi propaganda and going, yeah, it looks like a Jew. Like you are that type of person. Trigun, there's nothing lolly about that. Like mostly all the characters are literally of age. Black Lagoon, I haven't seen it, so I won't speak too much. I probably like offended a lot of people with that one. Prison School, isn't that the one where? Oh, okay. I'm very familiar with this in terms of like Rule 34. I'm not entirely sure what the synopsis, but it's like this is the type of show that I feel like those who actually have like a soft side for female predators will actually watch. Yeah, like this is a pretty like Cowboy Bebop. That's not lolly because they're probably looking at Edward and be like, that's lolly, but like there's nothing sexual. They never do anything sexual like Edward at all. Like not even in the slightest. Okay, like I'm gonna use this list as something to fucking watch, expand my fucking repertoire here. But let's actually go back to the video. Like right now, we're 8 seconds in, and I'm more invested in the list that he's more shocked at. So he's doing a horrible job, by the way. And by the way, let me hit that that dislike. Also, when people do this, let me show you. When they don't want you to know that like and dislike ratio, uh, you can definitely tell that this is a well-educated individual who obviously did his research, and he's being suppressed by the YouTube overlords, and obviously he's just being suppressed. Like he did. It says disabled by owner, right? But in actuality, uh, YouTube is actually hiding the like and dislike ratio because they're creeps, and they slander people like this guy who clearly is on the right side of history, who would obviously, and keep in mind he also has two daughters, by the way. He's a father, so you can rest assured that his children are well protected. He's the type of person that'll run into the fire, um, but I can almost guarantee you he's the type of person that probably lives in like fucking LA, where if someone broke into his fucking house, he'd have no choice but to let them have their way with his daughters and his wife. And the only thing he'll have to do is let it happen. Because you will be arrested for even trying to defend your fucking family. And I'm not kidding. You will be arrested for defending your fucking family. If you defend your family from the person that is violating your private property rights and violating the bodily autonomy of the members in your family, you will be arrested. So I'm pretty damn sure the person who is a former Vosh fan, right? I'm pretty sure he's not one of those vote blue no matter who type of folks.
I'm sharing it with you because as a father of young children, two of them, I found the contents of that link to be very unsettling. Because on that list are more than 200 different anime titles, many of which contain very young children who are put in very adult situations.
Like what type of situations are we talking about? Like sexual situations or like going to war situations? Because I find like people more focused on the sexualized part, not really the war part. Like My Hero Academia, which is basically an allegory between capitalism and socialism, using like the hero system versus like the villain system. Capitalism being the hero system, and then socialism being the villain system. And they're more concerned about like the female characters and like their short skirts and like tight leotards and shit, but no one's really concerned about the fact that these children are literally put in scenarios where tomorrow necessarily ain't guaranteed, by the way. Just saying. I mean, for crying out loud, they're literally going against, last I left off, they were going against like the big guy, all for one. And one of the female characters, I forgot her name, is the girl with like the fucking earplugs for ears. Yeah, her ear is missing. She lost one of her ears. But that's less that's less of a concern than the sexualization of a fictional character who does not have a bodily autonomy, right? Who does not have God's free will to walk on the ends of the earth like we do. Clearly the same thing.
Situations that some terminally online folks apparently find acceptable, but I find disgusting.
And it's perfectly fine for you to be disgusted, right? If you don't like it, that is perfectly fine. You can be disgusted. But at the exact same time, if you're the type of person who believes mayo is too spicy for consumption, I don't think that's a world problem. I honestly do believe that's a you problem, right? Because if mayo is too spicy for you, but it's perfectly fine for a lot of other people, right? That's not an us problem. That's a you problem, right? And I think that's the perfect analogy of what we're actually looking at right here. There's a person who cannot handle mayo, and what he is looking at is clearly mayo, if not Dijon mustard, at best.
Now, you are totally free to dissect the contents of that list on your own and come to your own conclusions. And
he'll still call you a bad guy, by the way, for not jumping on the progressive bandwagon.
and do what you wish after you come to those
But
conclusions.
you're still a
But
bad person.
I need to get my thoughts out there. So here they
I like how he has that like Joe Biden paraphernalia in the back. Like he wants you to know exactly who the fuck and where the fuck he is in terms of politics. Like and in the other video, he actually has like a picture of like Obama on the left side of the fucking video. Like he really wants you to know, like he's a good person. You know, he's on the right side of history. You know, during that time, he voted for the Muslim. I mean, the black guy. I mean, they kind of look like the same, right? You know, black Muslim. You know, not too much of a difference. They kind of look the same, right? Yeah. They look the same. They look the same. Keep in mind, you know, I consider Islam antithetical to the existence of blacks in general, especially considering the fact that if you actually look into the Quran, it views black people as slaves. Like any person who is a descendant of Africa or comes from Africa are slaves. And I made a community post about these weird fucking phenomena of these antithetical team ups that are happening through our political discourse. Blacks joining Islam, queers marching for Palestine, anti-Semitic black rapper with Jewish lawyers, racist black people working with racist white liberals who clearly hate black people. These like the weirdest fucking team ups that are happening, and they only happen because of these very strong political hate mongers, where they bought into like the political fear mongering. And what's another team up that I've noticed? People sharing anti-Semitic viewpoints of Israel due to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Like they literally spout the same topping viewpoints that Nick Fuentes honestly supports, and it's like it's perfectly fine when they say it. You know, not saying that it's perfectly fine to say anti-Semitic bullshit. You know, and then you tie it off with Christ is King. In order for you to deflect your criticisms of literal anti-Semitic bullshit that you're actually saying. It's kind of like the whole thing with Marxists. In order for them to spread Marxist propaganda freely while also being able to deflect criticism, is they take the blacks and they wrap it around them. And then when you criticize Marxist talking points, they go, "Oh, you don't like black people. You are offended by black people trying to liberate themselves. You hate black people. You're anti-black." When it's not really anti-black, they're anti-Marxists. It's because Marxists use black people like a prop in order for them to implement Marxist policy or socialist policy or communist policy. They claim to say that they actually do care about black people, when in actuality they don't really care about black people, because by the time they actually get implemented into power, then you get thrown to the fucking side and you don't get anything except for the sense of satisfaction that you put a bunch of Marxists and socialists in power. That's the only gratification you should ever get out of that. No tangibles or anything, to make your economical lives a lot more easier. Because I find it funny, especially when it comes to like BLM, for perfect example. Not the entirety of BLM. Like I want to separate the people who are actually do want something good for black people, while at the exact same time, like the grifters who are antithetical to the improvement of black people, like those are two entirely different categories. And the antithetical of it is black lesbians who ultimately fund Black Lives Matter. Where do me, a person who is straight and black, fit into that narrative? You know what I mean? Like, where do I honestly fit within a Marxist driven organization that clearly hates black men? Like, clearly fucking hate black men to the point to where the only use they ever find out of them is when they're dead and killed by police officers in a very specific way. I don't feel too comfortable with that because if I died in any of the type of circumstance, right, it's just crickets, and it's clearly just going to be crickets. So again, I don't feel too comfortable with this guy already, and we're just 53 seconds.
They are. First, the username at the end of that URL is Irish Laddie.
Okay.
Irish Laddie, as many of you may know, is the longtime username that was used by the popular leftist content creator Vosh.
Oh, that's
before Vosh became the name that he would go by.
Okay.
Now, is it technically possible that this Irish Laddie isn't the same Irish Laddie as Vosh? Sure.
Possibly.
But due to the super niche nature of this site and the relatively unique nature of the name Irish Laddie, I honestly find that hypothesis to be very unlikely. That said, before you dig into the link I just shared with you, and which I will also link below, there are some things that we need to get straight, which are very important. First, we need to understand what the site is. If, like me, before I stumbled on it, you did.
Let me fast forward this. Let me do 1.5.
Didn't know what it was. This site basically allows its users to learn about anime, watch anime, and create their own playlists.
Sounds great.
There's nothing necessarily bad with that. Then we need to talk about loli. What is it, and is it always bad? Now, even though I'm not into anime, I had heard this term loli thrown around.
He already told you how much information that he knows about this subject. I'm not into the thing that, I'm criticizing, It's kind of like he kind of has this like same approach as a pro-black individual who's against white supremacy, but he ends up teaming up with like Nick Fuentes. Like he pulls a Kanye West kind of thing, Where I don't know if you guys actually watched that interview with like Alex Jones with like Nick Fuentes and Kanye West, and when I say this man was literally a pet on a leash, I really do mean Kanye West was a pet on a leash. So Nick would allow Kanye to make the most outlandish statements of like saying like, as Christians, you're supposed to love all people, including Hitler. Right? And this man is just like a little gremlin, just chuckling on the sidelines, just watching this man make a fool of himself. Meanwhile, Kanye West is like wearing this like gimp suit. Like, I shit you not when I said this man was a pet. Like, he was displaying himself like a pet. He was wearing a gimp suit and a gimp mask. Like, it was like a gimp mask. It wasn't really a suit. Like, he had a jacket on, but he had like a gimp mask on. And he was just making a fool of himself. And Alex Jones, right, is just sitting there like constantly trying to give this man like so many fucking outs, right? Constantly. Like, he's like, well, you don't necessarily mean like the Nazis are actually good people, right, Kanye? I mean, you're saying something along the lines like you like their fashion and their clothes or something like that, right? I think it's perfectly, some fair, criticism or some fair points to say like you like their fashion, their clothes, like that's perfectly fine, but you don't really agree with their ideology, right? And the guy is just sitting there like, no, I really do love the guy, like. And then once he makes a fool of himself, like Nick Fuentes steps in and he like, does the whole filibuster thing in filling in for Kanye with his white nationalist talking points after, shoved the freaking pet out there to do the talking for him. Then he, retracts him and then, he steps out with the pro-Nazi propaganda. That's kind of how like I feel with this guy. Except, he doesn't have a pet.
Around a lot by people online. And the suggestion is often that it's just automatically bad. But when I asked a few anime lovers to help me understand these different terms and what I was looking at with this list, one of the things that I heard repeatedly was that loli isn't inherently bad because to them, and most anime aficionados, loli is just drawings of children. And in some cases, and in most cases, in perfectly PG sort of situations.
Loli is drawings of fictional characters I am pretty damn well sure that the people that you are talking to did not say they are drawings of children. I am pretty damn well sure that is your definition and not their definition.
Where the children are featured doing ordinary kid things. However, while not always the case, a lot of
And a lot of them aren't necessarily doing ordinary kid things. Like, what is ordinary kid things? Like, is like My Hero Academia, for example, right? Is Deku and like the rest of the students fighting like criminals and bad guys like normal kid things? I don't think so. I would hope not. Right? Like it's one thing to have inspirations to actually be your hero, right? I think what mostly kids are doing nowadays is kind of like what these guys are doing right here at the bottom, like goofy ass fucking dances in front of the camera and then posting it on TikTok. I think those are like goofy ass little things that most children honestly do nowadays. But I hope you don't mean like they're doing like fighting crime at the age of like 16, because I'm pretty sure they'll get like dusted immediately in real life.
loli involves children being put into sexually suggestive or sexually explicit situations and storylines. Then we need to talk about the grossness spectrum of loli. There's harm, and a lot of loli involves children being put into sexually suggestive or sexually explicit situations and storylines.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Like My Hero Academia is literally an allegory of like capitalism versus socialism, using like the hero system and the villain system as an example between the two. Hell, I'll even use like One Piece. I did. What do you mean by I did? Like even One Piece, for example, like there's people that focused on the whole S snake, where there's like the children seraphim, which are just basically android cyborgs. And there was a panel on the manga where they have that like shot underneath her dress. You don't really see anything, which is good because I'm more concerned about the fucking story than what's under there. But you get a lot of people that look so they're so distracted by that one panel, right? That they get hung up on that one page, like that literal one fucking page. And I'm like, there's more to the story than what's underneath that dress. Like, can you just read the word bubbles and like move on? Nope. I got that panel right there where you're looking underneath her dress, like creeps are looking under there and trying to find her panties, and it's like, whoa, my guy. Who is doing that? Creeps are doing that. I understand creeps are doing that, but who's explicitly is staring specifically at this panel a look under a minor's dress, other than you? Well, that's beside the point. The thing is that there's people that's looking at this panel, and that okay, my guy. You ever thought to realize that you're the creep in this situation? Maybe, just maybe. I mean, it's not like you're going to sit here and say, yeah, let's run the fade on human traffickers or cartel members that use children for like slave labor and shit. I'm pretty sure you're not going to say some shit like that. Because if you get in the way of a multi-billion-dollar fucking illegal industry and infrastructure ran by those guys, right? Let's just say there's not going to be a video of them like them critiquing you or something like that. It's going to be a video of you and them, with them pumping you full of drugs, so you can actually feel the pain of your neck being slowly cut to pieces by a chainsaw. And you're going to be alive to feel every excruciating part of that blade cutting through your neck. And then that's not the bad part. That's not even just the worst part. Like, they'll stop midway and then use a dull knife and cut the rest of your neck off your shoulders. Keep in mind, you're pumped full of drugs, so you're going to feel each and every inch of this. And then once they eviscerate your freaking head, then they put it on your fucking lap. And the fucked up part is that you're still alive to feel this. It takes a while for you to die because your body is pumped up with all these drugs that keep you alive. And while that does sound painful, right? And while that does sound very excruciating, and that your life was put on the line for actually attacking a multi-billion-dollar illegal industry, I think that's the price that most people are willing to pay when you're talking about protecting children in real life, as opposed as to attacking a $1 million industry that is of a legal process that does not use illegal means in order for it to create it, where you can safely critique it in the safety of your own home that is probably in some type of predominantly white suburb where you live comfortably within your little gated community, not really tackling real world problems. I'm just saying. Big fucking difference right there.
Then we need to talk about the grossness spectrum of loli. There's harmless stuff, there's something called ecchi or eki, and then there is explicit hentai stuff.
Icky. I feel like I'm learning so much from this guy, you know? Oh my god. Eki isn't. Oh my god. He got me saying it. It's etchy. Etchy. Ekchi. It's not explicitly underage shit. Etchy is kind of like, imagine like Tsunade from Naruto was a fully grown woman, right? But she's wearing like an incredibly short miniskirt and like a very revealing blouse that like shows her chest. And there are instances where you'll get more underneath the skirt or more underneath the blouse. It's kind of like the art of showing the bulb of the boob, but you're not seeing the areola. If it's something like that, if that makes any sense, it's kind of like seeing a girl literally in her fucking underwear. That's etchy, or even naked, but you don't see anything like the vagina or the butthole or the areola or anything that is that of explicit nature. And you can't even pronounce itchy right. And you want me to take you on the face value with the bullshit that you are presenting right now. Jesus Christ.
So first, harmless loli, quote unquote. This is just anime of kids doing normal kid things. Then there's eki or ecchi. According to Wikipedia, it's been adopted by Western fans.
This guy's literally coming up with his own definitions.
In Western culture, it has come to be used to refer to softcore or playful sexuality as distinct from the word hentai, which connotes perversion or fetishism. Works described as eki or ecchi by Western fans do not show sexual intercourse or genitalia, but sexual themes are referenced. Then there is explicit or hentai material.
At least you got that
hentai
right.
Is anime pornography. So if loli isn't automatically bad, but it basically becomes bad when it enters the realm of eki or ecchi, and obviously it's bad if it's...
Okay, first of all, don't say anime. What did he say? Anime fucking...
Or hentai material. Hentai is anime pornography.
Anime pornography. It's animated pornography. Like, he keeps using this vague ass terminology where it's like, I want it to be more expansive, so then even if you feel like you have wiggle room, I'm still right. You know? It's not that there are people defending Vosh and Tipster, like Tipster, Keffels, and Jalen. Okay, when it comes to Tipster, he's one of those people that I'm willing to bat for based on what I know. He's one of those type of people that when it's kind of like the whole thing with like calling everyone people, it's the side effect of what happens when the left calls everyone that disagrees with them Nazis, to the point to where it's called purifying the room, right? So let's say, for instance, right, there's 50 people in this room, and I walk into the room and I go, every single person in this room is a Nazi. Every last one of you. You're Holocaust deniers. You sympathize with Hitler, and you all want non-white people to be second-class citizens. And then all 50 people in the room go, no, we don't. And I'm like, yes, you do. And everyone's like, prove it. And I'm like, well, I don't have any proof, right? I don't have any proof. But because the fact that you guys are being so defensive is my proof, right? So therefore, each and every one of you are Nazis in this room specifically, because you do not want to get on the bandwagon of my lambasting of an entire group of people in a specific group. And then let's say throughout that period, right, people start walking into the room and they're like, hey, what's going on? What's up with this guy? And everyone's like, this guy is calling everyone in this room Nazis simply because we do not agree with his politics and his lambasting of everybody in this room for being something that we're not. And it's like, oh, wow, that guy's a jackass. Someone needs to talk to him. And, people start talking to him, and, he starts doing this thing where it's like, well, I don't have any evidence that you guys are Nazis, but at the same time, you guys are being mean to me. So therefore, every time you guys are being mean to me, that's more proof that you guys are actually Nazis and stuff like that. And then out of the room number starts to increase more and more and more. So it goes from 50 to like 75, and then 100, then 125, then 150. Then sooner or later, you start to get actual white nationalists showing up to the event and walking into the room. And they're going, hey guys, what's going on in here? What's all this talk about white nationalism? Oh, it's this weird one guy over here that's calling everybody who walks into this room neo-Nazis for simply not agreeing with his politics. Do you think the white nationalists are going to be, well, that's quite offensive? For crying out loud, that actually offends our purpose. I mean, for crying out loud, I clearly you guys are not white nationalists. You guys are not on our roster. We don't see you at the Klan rallies. You know what? I'm going to talk to that individual and give him a piece of my mind. No. The white nationalists, right, will take that as an advantage in order for them to gather a large number of people who feel stunted by the fact that there's this random person calling everyone Nazis. So instead of actually addressing it, he'll be like, oh, you know what? Man, you know what? I get that all the time. I mean, I say an edgy joke. I say something that a lot of people don't agree with. And then next thing you know, I get hit with the same labels, dude. You know what? It happens all the time. Hey, you know what? Why don't you and the rest of these guys come with me? We got this location out in the middle of the fucking woods where we usually have like these campfire meetings or something like that. Bring some coleslaw, whatever you want to bring, it doesn't really matter. And, we're going to have like little discussions about, how these evil bastards always want to call you something that you're really not. But most of the things that we're actually talking about are literally white nationalist praxis talking points, where we honestly do believe that we want to implement like some type of a Christian theocracy under the lens of like Christian nationalism, where we do honestly have only white people running government institutions and non-white people are classified as second-class citizens and they're treated as second-class citizens and they have less rights than us and everything. But don't worry, that doesn't make us Nazis or anything, because those guys can't really can't handle that kind of conversation. Or we also want to re-implement the idea of a monarchy, where we do want to bring back like the king, like the kind of like what the British has. That all those stories of like not Red Riding Hood, Robin Hood, where he's stealing from the rich and giving to the poor, that kind of system. Yeah, we kind of go there and talk about bringing that back and having a king to run this country, because the America, like everything that's been going on, like democracy really is a failed system, despite the fact that democracy is also backed up by a republic, and that also what keeps democracy in check. But keep in mind, we're totally like for democracy, but at the exact same time, today's democracy, it is totally not to our standards. Keep in mind, this does not make us white nationalists, by the way. And they lure those types of people from that room where they do get indoctrinated by white nationalist practice. And they ultimately don't understand that they are promoting white nationalism. Like Kanye West. Like he honestly does believe like the Jews are oppressing, despite the fact that he literally has Jewish lawyers. Uh I've seen lolly characters in anime drink alcohol, and last time I checked, kids don't drink alcohol. Well, of course they do. What, your kids don't drink alcohol? It's like he said, like they do normal kid things. Like kids drink alcohol, right? Right? Not apple juice, not root beer, like fucking alcohol. Yeah, yeah, that's typically what most kids do nowadays, you know. Look, Jayzilla, listen to the literal expert on the subject here. All right. He is an expert. All right. He knows everything more about this subject than I do. All right. Like the fact that I literally grew up with the damn thing.
So if lolly isn't automatically bad, but it basically becomes bad when it enters the realm of eki or ecchi, and obviously it's bad if it's full-blown explicit pornography, because if lolly is drawn anime of children, and eki or ecchi is considered softcore porn, that means what we're really talking about is softcore anime CP. And anything beyond that is just explicit hardcore anime CP. Some will argue, and have already started to argue with me online, that anything short of explicit hentai stuff is somehow okay, or just not that big of a deal. Now, sites like animelist.com.
Okay, so here's the question I think a lot of people need to ask themselves. It's can you oppress and subjugate fictional characters and exploit their physical appearance and their existence and their labor for your own materialistic gain? Right? Because lolly and actual CP are two entirely different things, as I've already stated this previously. Lolly is a legal process where you need an artist and an adult voice actor in order for it to actually be made. These are all legal subjects. Actual CP requires you to violate several laws in order for it to actually be created. One of which, kidnapping, soliciting of minors, endangering minors, and a whole list of other illegal activities. Trafficking, human trafficking, that's another thing, right? Distributing CP, by the way. Which, by the way, if this is what you honestly believe, that's what that is, right? You are technically distributing CP by that logic. So if that's what you think this is, why are you sharing it? You know what I mean? It like if you honestly believe like these characters that's dancing on the stream right now is CP, why are you sharing it? You wouldn't share this, you would actually go to the police with this type of information. But I think we all understand why you wouldn't go to the police with this kind of information, because if you did, they'll look you in the face and go, look, if you come here one more time about this shit being literal CP, we're going to lock your ass up. That's why motherfuckers like you are on the internet running your fucking mouth. The reason I defend lolly is because I don't want to see another serious word get watered down by idiots. That too. And I also don't want to see the slippery slope of because you can tell by the loose words and the definition labeling that he's doing, it goes a lot further than anime, right? Because you can even argue the Diary of Anne Frank is CP. Because the Diary of Anne Frank, and I don't know if you guys actually know about this, right? But the Diary of Anne Frank is basically Holocaust information. It's a teenage girl that went through the events of the Holocaust. And some of the content in that book was her explaining her process of her having a period, as well as expressing interest within another female. She was a lesbian. So then what happens when a person like this, it's not even just him, it's legislation. That's the thing that I'm more worried about. It's the legislation and its loose interpretation can then be used to target Holocaust information as sexually explicit. So then you could now remove Holocaust information, and the only people that benefit from that are Holocaust deniers. And that's honestly what I see where this is going towards. Because people like this, right? They don't say anything along the lines of, um, "Let's run the fade with like people, Muslim extremists who follow the Quran to the T, where you can marry a child with parental permission and have sex with the 9-year old so long as they're fat enough to not be crushed during sex by the man." And their logic is basically if the girl has a period, she's a full grown woman, which is bullshit. We can scientifically prove that that's not the case. Or he's not going to talk about how human trafficking needs to be brought down, or he's not going to talk about how the southern border here in the US has allowed cartel members to sexually exploit, and not even just sexually exploit, but also use child labor in order for them to actually make money with illegal immigrants that they help get through the damn border. He ain't gonna talk about that because that's where his politics go. He's definitely not gonna talk about that. That's the problem with like individuals like this when they become so focused on non-issues, is that they literally become defenders of real issues. And I can almost guarantee you, matter of fact, let's look at his channel. Does he talk about Prostasia, the tax exempt pedophilic organization that goes around collecting children? Don't worry, they may be all pedophiles, but don't worry, they're collecting the children to keep them safe. And while they do believe that their pedophilic disorder is more of a sexual orientation than a mental illness, don't worry, the kids are perfectly safe. And he clearly has a problem with Shoe on Head, who also called out Prostasia and was literally given death threats by literal pedophiles. Let's see. Closing leftist crisis credibility. Blah, blah, blah. Nope. Real leftists make their own medicine. Nope. The truth about the non what the non compete. What the fuck? Channel trailer, subscribe. Mr. Girl. I've been hearing a lot about this Mr. Girl person. I'm not entirely sure what the whole story is on that one. So he actually may be real on that. I'll give him credit for that if it's a real case. But we're talking about like real stuff, not like this small instance where one person is doing something. We're talking about actually making real effective changes. Like attack the infrastructure, not the person that uses the tool. You NATO, good or bad, anime list, Lauren Southern Ultimate Documentary. Was I wrong about Bosch and Lolly? I exposed soft giving, scam giving. I don't know what the hell that is. The biggest scam on streaming history. Mr. Hypocrite. Build character assassination. Yep, not a single thing about Prostasia or the Quran or Muslims. It's a specific sect of Muslims. I forgot the name of it. Apostate Prophet covers this kind of stuff. A lot of ex-Muslims kind of cover this because they don't agree with the extremisms of Islam. Yeah, he doesn't cover this kind of stuff. I wonder if you actually do kind of point that kind of stuff out. What's the first thing that's going to come out of his mouth? Oh, you're being Islamophobic. You fear Islam. Yes, I do fear the fact that there are a group of people under this ideology that loves the idea of fucking children. Yeah, you're right. I do fear that. That if that makes me Islamophobic, hey, I'll accept it. Guilty as charged. Granted, my position is not all people who are under the ideology of Islam are Islamic extremists. Like there are some people that don't necessarily follow every fucking tenet of the Quran, but they're kind of forced to actually do that based on like the extremists that followed the Quran to the nth letter. And that's another team up, by the way. Christians, I need you to look at me. Just because Muslims hate homosexuality doesn't mean you're the same. All right, stop listening to Sneeko and the rest of the and Candace Owens talking about our religions are not that fucking different, and we need to team up against the rise in homosexuality. All right, because literally in the Quran, it classifies Christians and Jews under the same classification of kill on sight. All right. So the way they see Jews is the same way they see Christians. So that's not a team up that's going to be pretty, okay? So when they get what they want and you throw the homosexuals off the building, well, guess what? You're next too. Because you are antithetical to the religion of Islam. You are very antithetical to the religion of Islam. So that's my warning. That there are some dumbass fucking Christians out there that are working side by side with Muslims.
Or .net can get away with ecchi or ecchi content because it's not that hardcore drawn CP. Because thankfully, in places like the US,
it's not
explicit hentai type loli is considered illegal under the Protect Act of 2003. This is, again, an important distinction.
That's indistinguishable, by the way. As in, you can't tell the difference. Like, it's a 1-for-1. This guy is, like, not fucking educated on this subject at all. As a matter of fact, under that Protect Act, it's perfectly fine so long as it falls under the 4 categories of, like, literary, scientific, and I forgot the other 2. So long as it falls under those categories, it's perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, Rev brings up the same thing. He even points this out. Like, it is protected under that law. It's not against the law. It protects it under that law. The only way I can exploit a fictional character is if I was a fan of art. I mean, that's the only way you can exploit it. Exploit the artist.
To know, because even when I have mentioned these topics in passing on Twitter, I get swarmed by people saying that anything less than hardcore hentai stuff is okay. And they'll also say that the lack of hardcore or explicit hentai loli in Irish Laddie's My Anime list, hello cat, somehow gives him a pass. Move your ass, cat. First, if you think that the material that is explained by anime enthusiasts as essentially softcore anime CP, if you think that is in any way okay, you are wrong, and you should go find a good therapist and talk with them about that. And also, until
maybe you should actually, find a therapist for yourself there, buddy. Because again, I've already explicitly stated, like, the difference between the two. Like, you have this mindset that you believe, like, man's creation supersedes God's creation. God's creation takes 9 months to actually be, born. Man's creation takes a couple of months, years, depending on your drawing skills, depending on how good you are as a person who can, like, content create, It's not the same thing. And then the difference between the two is that man creation can't walk on earth. God's creation can, and we are of God's creation, God was able to make clay and breathe life into that clay. That's the difference between the two. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. If you're looking at a loli character, or a character in general, by the way, it doesn't have to be loli, and you're going, that is a child, a in real life child, I'm sorry. I have to put you in the same camp with the people that look at World War II Nazi propaganda and say that that is a real Jew. I'll be generous. You're the type of person that'll look at Sean King, who's a white person, and say he's clearly black because he has a taper fade.
You do get the help that you need. If you happen to be a subscriber of mine, I need you to unsubscribe immediately, okay? Second, the absence of the hardcore stuff from this list means nothing, because To my understanding, you're not going to find any of that hardcore stuff on this website for reasons that I've already explained. That said, to my dismay,
that's because hentai is an entirely different category from anime. That's why you're not going to find the hardcore stuff, because simply because it's animated and it's from Japan doesn't necessarily mean it's the same thing. No fucking shit, Sherlock Holmes. It's not like you're gonna find on that list Bible Black or Princess 69 or some shit. Alright? They're not the same thing. Holy fucking shit. This is the expert, guys. This is the expert CNN and MSNBC hides behind.
The My Anime list of Irish Laddie contains numerous titles that appear to fall squarely into the category of ecchi or ecchi. I'm not going to go through all 200 titles on Irish Laddie's list, though you are free to.
What do you mean you're not going to go through all the fucking... I mean, granted, I didn't do it myself, you know, but yeah, you know, we got the list right here, so we can individually look at this kind of stuff myself. Most of this stuff I kind of already know, and I'm like, how the fuck is any of this like CP? Like, you have to be fucking retarded to even classify. I'm surprised Tenchi Muyo didn't pop up in that motherfucker. Well, you got Trigun up in that shit, but you ain't got Tenchi Muyo. Like, how many harem animes were actually on here? Wait, was Tenchi on here? You ain't got any Tenchi up in this shit. What other harem anime is there? Do you at least got Sailor Moon? Okay, you got Sailor Moon on here. And that one's more pro LGBTQ, to be honest. Like, the Sailor Scouts are literally gay, lesbian. Aren't you supposed to be like pro that? Like, your fucking priorities are all over the fucking place. 7 deadly sins? Like, what the hell? Mobile Suit Gundam? I haven't seen that one. Thunderbolt. Oh wait, Lupin the Third? Wait a minute. Okay, yeah, you smoking crack. Yeah, you smoking crack.
Do so if you want, and you could technically watch it, but that's not something.
I'm more offended he doesn't have Tenchi Muyo on there. If this is Vosh's anime list, I'm not entirely sure.
I'm willing to do, but I will highlight a few titles that were highlighted for me by a couple anime buffs with whom I sent this list to for their review.
Okay. Wait, is this the Dragon Maid thing? Oh yeah, it is Dragon Maid. The dragon immediately transforms into a cute, busty, and energetic young girl, dressed in a maid outfit, introducing herself as Toro. And last I checked, I could have sworn that this individual was an adult. She may look young, but she's actually an adult. Actually, no, she's not. She's more than an adult. I think she's like a dragon. So she's far past the idea of an adult. And like, this is just proof, by the way, guys. It's not like watching the entire fucking anime or anything. He's literally looking at the synopsis and going, because it says cute, lusty, and energetic young girl, therefore it is clearly CP. Like, that's his literal argument, because the synopsis says young girl is CP. Okay, so if we change young girl to energetic dragon god, right? Does that like change does that like poke a hole in your entire fucking narrative? I think we just change one little thing. I remember Mr. Girl from the Cuties jump. Oh, okay, that says everything about that person. But yeah, that says everything about that person. Matter of fact, if I remember, yeah, I think that is that person, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that was like that. Yeah, Cuties is effectively CP. Like, I'm more concerned about like shit like that, like shit like this. You can't oppress fictional characters. If you could, I think someone needs to be telling like the slave owners like they're doing the wrong thing, bro. You can imagine your slaves. You can imagine all your slaves instead of like going out and going through the trouble of like buck breaking them, capturing them, punishing them. You can just get all this stuff done in your fucking head. Like, man, slave masters back then had it wrong, man. See, the real product of slavery wasn't black people or Irish or any type of group of individuals that have been dehumanized throughout history. The real juicy gold nugget of slavery that is actually justifiable. Fictional characters. That is the real gold nugget of slavery. Sneeko is the definition of a walking L. Oh, don't get me started on that, motherfucker. Wait, did you actually see the live stream of him sitting? I forgot that Muslim activist's name, where he was explicitly sitting in front of Sneeko on a live stream, explaining the intricacies of how to enter the vaginal canal of a 9-year-old girl. Like, I shit you not. Like, the guy was just literally sitting there, like, this is our interpretation of not bringing harm to the child. You know, so long as the child is not fat enough, the child is fat enough in order to not be crushed during intercourse, it is perfectly fine. By the East definition of having sex with children. The West definition of having sex with children is you don't fucking do it. You just don't fucking do it. That's our fucking definition. Their definition is well, so long as you're careful, right? So long as you're careful not to crush the vaginal canal into the anus where they become one. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Okay, well, you take that shit over there. Don't come over here with that shit and be like, it's pretty nice over here in the West. Too bad it's too white. We need to bring some of the Sharia law over here, despite the fact that I literally left my shithole ass country, for being like, a bunch of degenerates and shit and extremists and killing people for the smallest things of not following, Islamic law based on the Quran, which is has several interpretations of changing shit throughout the history, by the way. But it's not for me to decide. That's for the hundreds of prophets to decide. For Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and other prophets that they fucking have. Funny how they have so many goddamn prophets, but last I checked, there should have only just been one prophet, but somehow, some way, they just have all these prophets. Generational prophets. Don't know how. Penny and Stocking with Gutterbelt. Follow these two unruly angels as they battle ghosts. An overflow of bodily fluids and their own tendency. Okay, your point. Like, this is literally. I am like disgusted that this is literally his proof. And then he tries to sell the fucking idea with this like creepy ass fucking music. Is the anime no game? No game, no life? You mean the fucking anime where the guy is like teaching the weak how to be strong and to overcome odds? It's like, yeah, and then again, keeping with the like you've already screwed yourself on the integrity here, Lloyd. If you honestly do believe this is CP, why the fuck are you showing this? Right? Currently, you are exposing me and your viewers to the underskirt of an underage character. Like, you see what I mean about these types of people? Right? Like, if this is actually what they honestly believe that what it is, they wouldn't be showing it because that would literally classify as you distributing CP. But it's not because they're doing it. But they still want to sell the idea to you that it is, but it's not. So there are two types of categories for two types for people like this, like him and Nux Taku. Two types of categories. One, the useful idiot. This is the person that ultimately believes it's propaganda, and it really is propaganda. And they spend most of their time talking about this shit rather than running the fade on the government, cartel members, human traffickers, politicians, celebrities, Islam extremists, and Prostasia. That's seven categories that I just named, right? Where I would actually find it more heinous than this. Which, by the way, you spend more time watching the guy than you do watching her, by the way. Especially the second episode where they go to the second area where they play that game with it's like that word game where you say a word and it actually affects the surrounding area around you. I forgot the name of the game. That's a really good episode. I actually do recommend No Game No Life. There's only like 7 episodes, as far as I know. I think they came out with more, but that's a really good anime. I actually do recommend it. This isn't a warning list. This is a recommendation list. All right, that's how fucking pathetic this is. Why is it so hard for people to understand that cartoon characters don't have human rights? That's because they more than likely fall into these two categories. One is the useful idiot. They don't necessarily understand what they're doing, and they end up falling for this propaganda because they honestly do want to be good people. The problem is that they're so uneducated. Like they have the same mindset as a person that believes like socialism is evil under America propaganda, where they can't explain why socialism is evil. So when you say socialism, they start foaming at the mouth like socialism is evil, like this kill people. But if you actually took the time to actually read like socialist like writers such as like Karl Marx, uh, Stalin, Mao, Mussolini, ranging from like socialism to Marxism and communism, right? You can intellectually articulate why socialism is bad. And you don't foam at the mouth. It's kind of like the difference between a person who actually learns mathematics in an academic level versus a person who learns mathematics in a social learning environment. Where it's like, what's 2 plus 2? 4. Versus the person that learns mathematics in a social environment, in a social learning environment, where it's, what's 2 plus 2? And they go, 2 plus 2 is a systematic oppression of black people and non-white people in a oppressed category where the overcorrections of mathematics is a systematic oppression designed of hierarchy to uphold white supremacy and their hierarchy over the oppressed classes. I just asked you what 2 plus 2 is. I didn't ask for all that shit. Well, that just means you're a white supremacist. Oh, really? Is that so, huh? So you were telling me is you don't know math, and you shouldn't be responsible for money, and you definitely shouldn't be voting, and you are inadvertently defending white supremacy yourself. No, that's what you're doing, but you can't even explain to me what 2 plus 2 is without going into some fucking tangent about white supremacy and hierarchies. Uh, well, the thing is yeah, whatever. Tenchi Muyo is significant because it was the first harem anime people got to experience in the West back when Toonami was still on Cartoon Network block. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Tenchi Muyo was the best. Like I have the DVD box set for the not the box set. I got the Tenchi Universe. I like Tenchi Universe more than Tenchi Muyo. I don't like the Tokyo one. That one's kind of weird. It's just kind of like this amalgamation of like a bunch of random shit. Like it's almost like it was written by someone with like fan fiction. Mr. Girl was one of the people defending Cuties movie. Right. Gotcha. Yeah, we don't condone that shit here. Like the only way like Cuties would actually be acceptable in my eyes if it was fully animated. If it was fully animated, I'd be like, I don't care. They're all fictional characters. And it actually promotes the message without using real girls. And it actually gets the message across. Who'd have thunk? Right? You know, it's not taking the principle of let me teach you how bad slavery is by owning black people as slaves. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is, well, why do they have to actually be black in order for you to teach me about slavery? Do you honestly believe black people are the only people fit to be slaves? That's disturbing. You know what I mean? That's very disturbing. Yeah, watch that anime. It's really good. I haven't seen this one. This is like a sports anime? Parental guide, some violence and nudity, 16 up. Plenty of people get killed on screen and off, but without much gore. Apart from the skimpy outfits and many flashes, there are plenty of nude scenes for all the leading ladies. Kissing love for romance between two leads, nothing that stands out. So nothing really that bad. Like I don't get it. Like he's actually shooting himself with his own fucking evidence. Like what the fuck? Main character is an ordinary sixth grader, fully coolly. Like this is literally his proof. Like it's just synopsis. And Fully Cooley is an indisputable sexual series. Wait a minute, did you just mesh together like an internet an anime synopsis and a clearly politically leaning left biased news article? And Fully Cooley is an indisputable sexual silly. First episode shows the high school of an ex-girlfriend and Notorious brother Mamimi pressing her breast against the child. Haruka flirts, moans, and speaks in innuendos, often dressed in suggestive clothing or ones of tell. There is a clear connection to make between Noda's budding manhood and the. Yes, it's all innuendos. It's like literally like it's innuendos regarding about hormones and shit. You know, that thing that teenagers have when they're growing up past the prepubescent stage. Like these are the same people that will look at the Diary of Anne Frank and go, "That needs to be banned." I mean, yeah, it's about Holocaust and everything. That doesn't make us Holocaust deniers. We just don't like the fact that you're reading sexual content.
But to me, especially as a
Also,
father,
wow, that one like literally passed by like fast as fuck. Beauty Honey is a magical girl franchise for adults. Well, you literally just shot your own in the foot. Parents Guide, sex and nudity. Is a 16-year-old, perfectly normal, beautiful high school student until her scientist father is kidnapped by an evil organization, Panther Claw, that is. However, her father left behind a device that she can use to transform into. You see what I mean? It's like when you take the time to actually look at the propaganda they're flashing in front of your face, it's contradictory. Like, there's two posts from clearly leftist leaning types of sources. And then the synopsis is like delivering, like, here's the bulk of the narrative. Her father gets kidnapped. He leaves a device in order for her to be able to fight the evil people to be able to get her back. Meanwhile, these guys are just sex, 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 sex. It's all about sex, nudity, and sex. Net sex, sex. Smut is literally smut. We turn off smut every time we see smut. Except for this instance, because we need you to understand that the thing that you are looking at is smut. I mean, despite the fact that we do believe that this is CP, we still have the right to express our concerns about the smut that people are digesting this smut in everyday consuming smut every day. They need to turn it off and be Christians, really proud Christians, despite the fact that most of these people who claim to be Christians are actually secular. They don't really believe in God or anything like that, but they need to be submitting themselves to God, and by God, to be our definition of God, which is us. We are the God. We are the God. We are the newborn being of this new secular religion. We don't really believe in a astral God. We are the God. We are the God of our own destinies. And if you do not agree with us, you will be smushed under the foot into the gulags for where you belong. You peasant scum, you smut degenerate person. You are freaking smut, and all you do is consume smut. Oh man, Londre is the definition. Okay, yeah, the YouTube chat thing is not really keeping up for some reason because you're posting something and I'm not getting that. It's perfectly fine. Because they're clothed. Face tats. I forgot what I was about to do. Oh yeah, because I'm not getting those things that you're showing, which is weird. Um, yeah, let's go back to that
But to me, especially as a father of two young children, anyone who is willing to dance on that line between.
And I have two nieces, one that's 16, one that's 6, and actually I have 3. Recently newborn, by the way. I am a proud uncle of 3 nieces and 1 nephew. And I do not consider this a problem. I only consider this a problem because you're trying to deliver me information where you're trying to make me focus on a red herring. So let's just say, for instance, I want to point my barrel towards an identifiable threat. And if you're feeding me information where my barrel goes the other way, I want to make this abundantly clear. You fall under that barrel too. Right? Because if you're feeding me false information to where I'm pointing my barrel at innocent people, you fall under that category. Just like people who are pro censorship, they don't want me to listen to white nationalists. I want to listen to white nationalists. So I can understand where their ideas come from and where they're thinking, how they think. So that way, when they cross that moral line, I am obligated to pull that trigger. But I can't do that when you have a bunch of pro censorship type of motherfuckers, right? They're pro censorship and they don't want me to hear my enemy speak. Well, in the concept of war, right? If you're blocking me of my information in order for me to win the war, guess what? You're the enemy too. And I have every right to put you behind that barrel as well. And this isn't a threat, it's self defense. Because we are in a war. And the most important part of a war is information.
Is it really that bad if it's not hardcore stuff? Anybody who dances on that line is just squarely on the wrong side. And when you look at
the wrong side of history, folks, is at the line.
I think you will feel the same way. Unless, of course, you fantasize about underage kids. So, to wrap this all up, I hope that...
I think you're the one that actually fantasizes about underage kids because you're so preoccupied by the idea of fictional characters.
Bosch can somehow show that this list isn't his. I mean that. But if he can't, I hope that at the very least, he'll explain how he feels about this stuff and why he thinks it's disgusting, if he does. For example, some of you know how I feel about Mr. Girl. Not only has he pedo-jacketed himself hundreds of times, he also consistently articulates why the perverted stuff that he and others are into is okay. And that is the reason why I refuse to engage with him directly. Because it's one thing to have someone say, it seems like you're into some depraved shit, and then follow up by saying, no, that's not true, and here's why. And it's another thing entirely to say,
well, those are 2 entirely different camps. Like, 2 entirely different camps. But you also got to ask yourself, Is every person who is explicit about being anti-loli on the right side of history? I would say I hope not, because really it's just on the right side of the opinion, by the way. Because you do have people like EDP 456 who explicitly states, like, oh yeah, yeah, a lot of stuff is CP stuff. Listen to the well-known pedophile who goes out his way to meet up with actual fucking teenagers for sexual explicit content. And I also want to keep this in mind too, all right? Like the whole thing that like Gideon did with EDP. I want to make this abundantly clear. Gideon was lucky he did not bring that gun with him that day. Well, actually, he brought it with him. He just left it in the car. Because I think if EDP actually did bring that with them in that kidney dialysis place that they staged that shit in front of, and this is the thing that I also have like against predator channels or anyone that likes to do like these pranks on like actual predators. I want you guys to actually understand this. Remove the entertainment lens. You can die to these people when they feel cornered. They just don't show up thinking it's all going to be fine and dandy and they're going to get their socks off. They do carry weapons. And if you don't think this fat son of a bitch ain't going to carry that 45 with him the next time you want to do some shit like that, because I can almost guarantee you, when news got up, that motherfucker, he said it himself on a live stream. Like, he actually did have the gun with him. He just chose not to bring it into him, the building with him that day. Gideon would have got shot. And he walking around that stupid ass fucking getup could barely fit through that damn door. You can die doing this kind of stuff. Like, this ain't no laughing matter. And you notice like a lot of these predator hunting channels, they're all camera and sound effects and potty poppers. But notice how they don't have a single gun with them. That's because in some cases, they know that the person that they're going after isn't really doing that kind of shit. And the fucked up part is one of the channels is ran by a guy named Alex, Predator Poachers. The guy that also did like the sting on EDP 456, but also did that live stream where it's like, hey, don't say the N word around from the N words, otherwise you upset the N words, right? He did a live stream that I can't find it, but there's a clip where it's him and Chris Hansen. And he tells Chris Hansen out of 1,000 arrests, we've only had 10 convictions. That's, in terms of like a person doing their job right, that's horrible. Right? Because you need to have the same amount of convictions to correlate with the same amount of arrests. That tells you exactly that person or institution is doing a good job. But if you have this many arrests, but you have this many convictions, like down here, you're not doing a good job. That will mean you're doing it mostly for the entertainment and not for actually like keeping children safe. Also, I find it funny that people forget that anime follows the same rules as American movies and TV, with the fact that it can be rated PG, PG-13, and rated R. Yeah, exactly. It's the same shit. So let me finish up this video, and I'll probably have to do like a part 2 tomorrow. It's probably should have started the stream a lot earlier, but I had like a whole lot of other things.
I am into that stuff, and here's why. One, situation gives room for possible forgiveness, and one, in my view, does not. That is the video. That is how I feel about it.
Wait,
If you
wait,
would
what was that?
follow up by saying, because it's one thing to have someone say, it seems like you're into some depraved shit, and then follow up by saying, no, 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 that's not true, and here's why. And it's another thing entirely to say, yep, I am into that stuff, and here's why. One situation gives room for possible forgiveness, and one, in my view, does not. That is the video.
I can see your argument there, but you know what also is a form of being able to forgive actual pedophilic content or actual pedophilic things? It's when you're so focused on a red herring, and I'm pretty sure your politics are on the same line as most people on the left. If I were to say something along the lines of most of the people in the border that Joe Biden has explicitly made it abundantly clear that people can go through the fucking border illegally. He promoted this, by the way. And those people, including minors, are being used for either child labor and sexual exploitation. I am pretty sure your progressive ass is going to sit there and go, that's not happening. Right? You got to say, that's not happening. It's a right-wing conspiracy theory. And if I don't agree with you, I am a Nazi. And that I hate all immigrants and I just want the borders closed. I can almost fucking guarantee you that is his fucking position. Because he's a former Van of Bosch. I mean, I hate to like paint people like that, but for crying out loud, when you literally have that creepy ass Joe Biden picture in the behind your fucking person, you scream, yeah, I'm all about open borders. You know? Bring in the child labor, bring in the child trafficking. I'm all about that shit. And I'm pretty down with sure. Again, like I said, he's probably one of those vote blue no matter who motherfuckers, where they're soft on crime. So while you're so adamantly protective of children based on lolly, right? I'm pretty sure you live in a blue state or a blue city where you have voted for individuals within our legal system to be soft on crime. Which means people who have sexually assaulted children are being released. If not on lighter punishment. If not with no bail. But I'm pretty sure he'll fucking deny that. Love the fact that most of the anime old man Londre shows anime that is made for like teens and adults. Exactly. Like he's showing the things that is like it says it's made for adults, but he's like, oh, this is something that children are watching. It's sexualized children. Oh my god. No, they're not children. They're not real children, my guy. I hope you're not looking at these fictional characters and going, wow, one of them looks just like my daughter. Which is kind of funny, by the way, because I wonder what his idea on representation is. You know, is he all about that representation? You know, having people look like them in real life in those fictional characters. Does he want all those people to see themselves in these fictional characters? To where when they're sexually, when they're sexualized in a certain manner that they don't agree with, it's kind of like you're raping them in a way. I wonder if that's his opinion on that. Because if representation, right, if people honestly did feel like that, I'm pretty sure there's no people that honestly think like that. But if they actually did, right, would he actually be against representation, considering there's like a unhinged group of people that are sexually exploiting people that are, honestly see themselves in these fictional characters, or would he actually continue to push for more representation, knowing full well there are people there going to take that art and make their own art of these characters in other positions, like sexual positions.
Video. That is how I feel about it. If you agree, like it, share it, comment down below. And if you don't agree, please tell me in the comments also so that I can find out who I never want to interact with ever again. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it, but I assume you didn't because I didn't enjoy making it. Adios.
He's the type of person that you could actually have a beer with. Not really. Let's look at the comment section, by the way. Like I said, this guy ends up like fucking disabling the likes and dislikes because he got fucking ratioed. I left a nice little juicy comment here, by the way. By all means, please go here and dislike the video. You're the type of person to find mayo too spicy for consumption. Why in God's name would anyone take you seriously? And this is like a year video, by the way. Maybe instead of editing this video, you could have done some research for it, such as what are Vosh's opinions on the topic? Has Vosh already addressed this? Is this even his account? Any of which can be answered faster than it takes to watch this full video. I can't even tell if this video is a joke or not. Laughing my ass off. This is the most harmless list I have ever seen. And also, just to be clear here, he did make a video after Vosh exposed himself having lolly. But we're gonna cover that topic tomorrow. I'm gonna try to do this as early as possible so I can actually have enough time. So with that being said, because we still haven't even covered the 30-something minute video of him before Vosh revealed his little secret folder. So yeah. So much appreciated, everyone, for tuning in. We're going to end the stream right now, and then we'll get back on this topic tomorrow. So it's going to be a part 2. So much appreciated, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Till then, be safe, take care, and remember, it is better to run the fade with the cartels than with a lolly artist. Until then, take care and be safe. I'll catch you guys next time.